All right, so this Knife Thoughts video is going to be a little bit unusual for Knife Thoughts. It's going to be a disassembly and reassembly video. And I don't do very many disassembly videos. In fact, I don't really disassemble my knives even off camera very much because it's just not something that I do for fun. I know a lot of people do like to do it just for the enjoyment of it and because they're interested in the mechanism and everything like that, and that's great. And I know that people enjoy disassembly videos. It's just not something I do a whole lot unless I need to, and on this knife, the Axial Dart, I need to, so I thought I would do a video. First of all, before we get into that, make sure you subscribe to the channel. You can click the bell and select all so you know when I post new videos. Check out my other social media. I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Knife Thoughts. You can use the hashtag ThinkKnifeThoughts and my website, knifethoughts.com, where I post articles on knives and knife-related topics. But, so Axial, if you have watched my other videos on their knives, I really enjoy their knives. I have the Shift right here. Really, really nice, American-made, out the front knives, and they just recently came out with a fixed blade. I was hoping that it was going to get delivered here today with this stuff, but it didn't. So soon I will have a video up on the Alpine, a new fixed blade from Axial Gear. But a new company that I really like. I think that they have, a great outlook on things and are going to do good things in the knife market and community. But I got this knife, and after a little bit of, using it, testing it out, basically, it had the spring break inside. So it was a surprise and, obviously a disappointment. But as I've experienced before with Axial, they were very interested in helping and getting it fixed, and so they sent this replacement spring and actuator bars here really quickly. They also sent this, which is a little Torx bit set branded Axial, so that's a nice little touch. In fact, it's actually a really nice touch for me because I actually have been thinking that I needed a new Torx bit set. The one that I have is getting a little worn. So this is the first use of this Torx bit set, came with the spring. They also sent a split ring here. I'm not sure if that's to connect to this thing. I'm not actually sure what that's for, but anyway, let's go ahead and take this apart. And one nice thing is, as of now, Axial does not discourage disassembly. There are other out the front automatic knife manufacturers that do discourage disassembly, and I confirmed with Axial that they are okay with disassembly. Obviously, if you cause damage by disassembling, then that's an issue. But disassembly itself does not void the warranty. They actually even talk about it in the material that comes with the knives. But we'll open this up here. This is a T6, working fine on these. I did open this up to confirm that it was a broken spring, and so this is the second time that this knife has been open. I am not going to Loctite this back up when I do reassemble it, just so that, I can kind of check back in and make sure that there's no issues with the new spring after some, testing. But continue. So there's 4 of these Torx screws here on the clip side, and they come out pretty easily. Pretty typical screws. They actually seem pretty solid. They, have relatively wide posts, as you can see, and thick heads. So get these out. This is magnetic, so that's kind of nice. Helps you to get these spring or screws out. Now, you also have to take the clip off. So you can take this out. I do believe, I don't know, how much they have, how much information they have out yet or want out yet, but I do believe there might be some slight changes to the clip design coming up that might make it so that it's not as necessary. I'm not sure about that, but I do think it's going to be a cool thing for their knives, and I think it's great that they are open to, continuing to improve their product. But let's see, am I missing a screw, or did I just really jam this thing together? There we go. So it pops open, and there are the internal workings. The clip does fall off. Now that doesn't have this covering it, so I'm just going to set this over here so that you can see it. We're going to move this slightly this way, move these off to the side. I'm going to keep them in the same order. They are all the same, so it doesn't really matter, but just for the heck of it. And take a quick look at the internal mechanism, because it is pretty cool. It's one of those things where that's part of the interest of an out-the-front automatic knife, is the cool mechanism. So how this works here, you can see this kind of catch that connects this to the actuator arm broke on this spring. And what happens is this sits here like this. You push this forward and it extends this spring until it gets past this catch here. And then it shoots the knife forward. So this pushes the knife, or actually pulls the knife forward until it continues. And then you can see that the tang gets past this catch here. Then to unlock it, you pull that back. You see how that moved this. This has a spring in there. And I'm going to actually just take this off. You see how that works. It basically is what actually creates the spring tension on the blade itself. But this has to get pushed back. If I can get this to sit in there. There we go. That pushes that back. So you can see this bar here pushes that down. That allows the blade to be pulled back closed by the spring when the spring is sitting there. And that pushes the other bar, the blade tang pushes the other bar over here back down. And then that will become the closed catch. So you see how that sprung back into place, holding it closed. And then when you actuate this spring, it undoes that. That allows the spring tension created by, the spring that's missing to pull the blade forward. So it's a pretty cool mechanism. It's one of the few knives, I guess, not few, there's a lot of really cool mechanisms, I shouldn't say that, but it's one of the knives that I do really appreciate the interesting mechanism that it has. Boy, I hope I didn't forget which one of these goes which. No, I remember here. So here is the replacement, and it does seem like Axial is really dedicated to their warranty. So I appreciate that, to having a good warranty. Generally, one of the big things that I do like about Axial is that they seem to be committed to, not just making really good knives, but making, well, let's get that all the way up in there, making really good knives and having a good overall, there we go, product. So you can see how that catches down on the tang of the knife, but it's held in place by the catches that I showed earlier. So now that's pretty much it. I got those on, should be good to go, at least hopefully. Now I can put this back on, and I did find you want to get this pressed closed, then put the clip in. So we'll get this clip down in and reassemble. But before I do that, I'm just going to test it. So there we go. That's the first actuation and retraction. Looks good, sounds good, seems good to go. So I am going to close it back up. Here is the clip spring, or I keep saying spring, clip screw. I think maybe this can be put into here. Seems like maybe that's the way that's supposed to go, but anyway, this works fine. You don't need a whole lot of torque on these. And like I say, I'm not going to put Loctite, removable Loctite on this, just in case I do need or want to take it apart again. And just get it enough that it's going to hold that in there well, and move along up the handle. Get that one tightened. And it is really nice that you can take this apart. Like I say, some out the front companies discourage disassembly, and I know a lot of people really like to disassemble their knives just because they like it. I like I mentioned, do not, but I do like the option if it's a knife that uses screws. Now, if you watch my channel, you know I like and carry and use a lot of knives that are pinned or riveted, and those you can take them apart, but it's a lot more involved. I like, if a knife has screw construction, I like the ability to take it apart. I do like that, to have that ability. But last screw here, and it should be good to go. Get this one tightened down, and then I want to check that it's lined up well and everything. Seems lined up well on this side, pretty well here, and that's really due to the good machining. I think that these are well machined. And let's actuate it again a couple times here. Just love that sound, huh? Sounds really solid. In my unboxing, I mentioned that I think they're working on, really tightening the tolerances and taking away the blade play. Very, very little side to side, which is really good for an out the front, and a little bit front and back, but I think, yeah, a little less than on my shift. This shift is a relatively early shift, I believe. So I really like the look of this dart. I'm going to test it out, make sure, that it's good to go now. But I really appreciate Axial, quickly fixing that issue by sending me that replacement spring and encouraging the ability to disassemble and reassemble. And you can see that it was easy. I mean, I am not an expert, and it was really easy to do. So that's a nice thing for sure. And like I say, I appreciate their willingness to continue to improve, and also, that good service that they seem to be interested in providing, along with, really value-driven, high-quality American-made knives. So I do have a referral or affiliate code for Axial. Make sure you use that if you're going to get an Axial gear knife or any other gear from Axial Gear. You can find that in the description. Also, you can use the code Knife Thoughts for a discount. And make sure you check out my other videos on Axial gear knives. You can check out my social media and my blog, like I mentioned, and subscribe to the channel. And I'd love to hear your comments on this video, because it is a little different than normal. And last but not least, as always, don't forget to go out and do good.